Welcome to this week's Techie Tip. In this session, we are going to talk about Gmail labels. Labels in Gmail are like creating folders to move your messages to so that you can easily find them based on the label. The nice thing about labels is that you could actually apply more than one label to a particular message. For example, if you have a parent who has asked you about their child's homework and also asked you about an upcoming field trip, you could create and apply a label for both homework and field trips to that particular message. So before we actually take a look at how you create those labels, it is important to note that in your inbox on the left side, underneath the inbox folder, you actually have all your current folders or labels. I'm most likely going to say either of those words to identify the fact that we're creating labels. So as you can see, you also have a little button called More Labels, and when you click on that and scroll down, it will list any other labels that you may have created in the process of organizing your Gmail. So how is this done? There are two basic ways. The first way is to actually go into your settings icon, which is the sprocket in the top right corner of your screen, and selecting settings. And from the settings menu, select the labels top tab. And here, we will talk about this in a bit more detail, is where you would create labels. A second way that you can access the label menu is to actually click on More Labels, scroll to the bottom. You can either create the label here or click on Manage Labels right from this side menu. So whichever process is simpler or more convenient for you is the process that I would recommend. So in your label box, you have four basic pieces of information. The first are system labels. These are part of the Gmail process or application. You can't change them. They are there. You can basically turn them off or on by showing them or hiding them, depending upon what your preference is. As you can see, there are some things that I don't want to have appear in my Gmail box, so I have them on the hide view. The next section is basically the categories. This too is an area of the application that Google does not let you change, because there are 5 basic categories that they kind of say if you're using this feature, like we did in our last Techie Tip regarding the tabs, then we're going to kind of put email that we think is social into the social tab and promotions into the promotion tab. So they're not really going to let you change that either. Circles is another item. Circles kind of ties into Google Plus and Hangouts and things like that. And again, it's part of the Google application that at most you can show or hide the particular item within your menu listing on the left side under your inbox. The area that we want to really take a look at is called labels. And this is, again, very similar to the 3 other categories up above. We can show, we can hide, we can also show only if it's unread, we can show in the message list, and we can remove it or we can edit it. So if we were to edit this, it's basically changing the label name or making sure we nest it under something else that we might want. So in this case, we're going to create a new label. And I will create a label called Principles. I don't want to nest it under anything, but if I were going to do that, I would check this box and choose the particular location or other label that I may want to nest that under. So once I've done that, I click the Create button, and voila, my label has been created. But as you can see, I'm going to return to my inbox, And because of the way Google designs this, in order for me to see that principals label, I have to kind of click on my more labels and scroll down. So here's the label that I just created. Now you'll notice that there's a little drop down box next to that. If I click on that, I actually have a couple of little options here. I can choose a color for that, which I think I will. I happen to like kind of an orangey looking color, so we'll select this orange color. And if I select on that drop down arrow again, I can do some of these show, hide, show if unread in my message listing or label listing, depending upon what I want. So there are lots of different ways to go in and edit your label information. So here it is. I've created this label called Principals. And now what I would like to do is actually apply it to some principals, to add it to their name, so that when I click on that moving forward, it will actually bring all those users together under that label. So let's take a look here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to click and drag and bring this over to Mary Beth Rodman. She's a principal. I'm going to go down to my labels, and I am going to scroll through here. And I'm sure I've got another email from a principal in here somewhere. Well, let's see. Not in my immediate list, so let's do this. I'm just going to click in here and type in William Crosby, and here we go. Lots of principals listed here. So I'm going to click on my labels. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to move this over to Denise. I will grab this and move this over to Elaine Pender. And since I'm here, I will grab this and bring it over to Joanna Hughes. I also have a few others in there, but for the sake of this example, we can go back to our inbox and notice that now I have a label in here with principals. So if I were to scroll down and select my principals label, as you can see, those principals that I have attached that label to now show up when I select that label on the left-hand side. So labels are a pretty cool way to easily locate information from a particular group or a particular type of message if you want to really take a look at who's sending what. A couple of final notes regarding labels is you can actually create labels that would allow you to respond today, as I have a label for that. And if you scroll down in my email, I also have an email so that I can to-do on a particular message. So I could actually return to my inbox, and if there was a message that I needed to make sure I responded to today, I could simply scroll down and move my label to that message. I want to make sure that I respond to that today. But if something crazy goes on, I would like to also add my to-do label to that message as well. So a final note is that in order for me to make sure that I see that respond or to-do label, I do have to go into my settings and make sure that I have my conversation view on, so that when I actually click on that label, that conversation, that series of messages for responding and to doing will appear. So if I return to my inbox and I go to my labels and I select the respond today, there it is. I know that that is going to show up, and I will make sure that I get that done before the day is out. So in our next techie tip, we are going to take a look at filters and how filters can work with your labels to help you locate messages and group your information. All right, folks, enjoy the week.